YouTube, a few days ago, they teased the Sombra rework, and now today, Friday, October 6th, they actually released a full article, the director's take on the design journey of Sombra's rework. There's a whole article down here along with the new idea, the changes, and the entire patch note of what Sombra's gonna look like on day 1 of Season 7 of Overwatch, which will begin October 10th, which is 4 days from now. Actually, before I read this, let's actually watch the little teaser video first. I think that'll give you a better idea to get your feet wet.
Sombra reworks are here for Season 7, and here's a look at her new kit and how to best utilize it. Sombra will also be receiving a new ability called Virus, which causes damage over time. Virus will do 100 damage over 4 seconds, but if it hits a hacked target, it'll do the same 100 damage over 2 seconds.
Falling apart.
Oh?
Her stealth ability is being moved to a passive skill, and every 3.5 seconds when she's not in combat, she will automatically go invisible. Her translocator is also being adjusted into a fast burst movement ability. Instead of placing her translocator, she now throws it and quickly teleports to it. This is great for quick traversals, joining battle, escaping battle, and rewards more aggressive gameplay. As always, head over to overwatch.blizzard.com for more information.
That's all they gave us in the video. I have some thoughts on this because I have play tested it. I'll give it to you straight as soon as I get to that part. Hola, amigos. Is it hola or hola? H's are silent, right? Isn't it hola, amigos? Andre Abrahamian from the hero design team here, subbing in for Aaron this week. So Aaron obviously is the director, and Aaron usually writes these, but we have Andre here. I wanted to share with you an in-depth journey through the most recent changes to Sombra, our notorious stealthy hacker. Since her original release in 2016, Sombra has received many changes, including a rework for Overwatch 2's launch. Now, 1 year later, the team brings changes to the latest iteration on Sombra once again. When we look at each Overwatch hero, we are guided by general values to provide a great hero experience. Each hero should have clear strengths and weaknesses that can be tuned accordingly. A hero's impact on a match should be felt by you, your team, and the enemy team. That impact should be clear enough to inform counterplay so that enemies infer how to respond to a particular hero or their abilities. With these points in mind, we felt that Sombra did not have the correct building blocks for her long-term place in the game, and that is what started our latest approach to the rework. The first goal was to make Sombra commit to the fight more when engaging. Number 2, increase the active feel in her ability kit. And number 3, uphold the current hacker identity and playstyle. With these goals in mind, there were multiple angles to tackle around her existing kit. Naturally, many ideas were also meant to address frustrations playing against the character, ensuring there was proper counterplay for the opposing team. What were people's frustrations with Sombra previously? For me, I'm asking this to you, chat, and people in the comments. I'm not a tank player. I think tank's biggest complaint was getting hacked over and over and over and over again. For supports, depending on the support I played, it was me getting hacked and then one clipped. Because sometimes I don't have the tools to fight back. And then if I do decide to fight back, she would leave the fight. So half of it was dealt because they wanted to make her commit more. We're going to get to her translocator after because she won't be able to teleport out as freely as previous. But the other half was the hack. But how do you change hack where it doesn't, like, you know, change her identity as a hacker hero? A little tough to tackle, so let's see what they did with these 3 goals. So, first of all, Translocator is a very versatile tool for map traversal and safe escapes. The teleport is often discussed as a get-out-of-jail-free card, that's true, ability because Sombra can escape as she chooses before enemies can deal a fatal blow. Due to the nature of Overwatch's fast-paced gameplay, it's not common to hunt for Sombra's Translocator as a form of counterplay. It's especially difficult to catch Sombra in Overwatch 2 due to the game-wide reduction to stun frequency. That's also true. There's no more like instant, you know, Brig doesn't have shield bash on command. Like you have to expend an ultimate as Brig to get the bash stun to stop her. Flashbang on Cass is gone. There are also common game style that leave the Translocator in safe regions, such as near a health pack, and perform a rinse and repeat strategy of solo engaging enemies. While playing a lone wolf can sometimes be viable, we also still want to have moments of active cooperation with nearby allies. When starting our iteration, we tackled each of these aspects for Translocator, wanting it to make it more involved in combat. Stealth is a powerful and unique tool in Sombra's arsenal, granting invisibility. Naturally, invisibility can be difficult to balance in a competitive multiplayer game. I think every game I played with stealth, I hate it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Does it belong in a video game? For the people who play the stealth, sure, but stealth in a multiplayer game has it ever been fun on the receiving end? I used to play League, just getting fucking, I'm here as Twitch or whatever the fuck, or I was hiding as Twitch or like, you know, an Evelyn showing up. I don't know. I found stealth always super cheap. I never played WoW, so I don't know how rogues felt, but fucking invisibility just feels so annoying. Invisibility in what's it called? In Halo wasn't as bad because there's a little bit of like a distortion when you take the camo. Do you think there could be like a little bit of distortion for like a invisible Sombra to kind of remove that frustration? Food for thought. We often discuss certain strengths around the stealth mechanic, such as the capability to hack while using stealth, to activate stealth at any time the cooldown is available, and the infinite duration. We wanted to address each of these concerns during our iteration to see what we can learn from changing them. Also, I'm reading what you guys are saying. Yeah, do you guys think a little bit of distortion would be an okay idea? I think in the chaos of a fast-paced shooter like this, it wouldn't be that far-fetched to have a little bit of distortion on the stealth to kind of like kick her out of it or something like that. Hack is one of the strongest parts of Sombra and has received many changes throughout Overwatch's history. We discussed this mechanic at great length since this was an opportunity to try new ideas and learn from them. Many different versions of Hack were tried throughout the rework, and the most common discussion was about how Hack could be used while invisible. We moved ahead with wanting to explore new Hack debuff possibilities. Based on these highlighted aspects of each mentioned ability, we tackled various combinations of changes to find the formula that felt right for Sombra players and all other players. We didn't just want to nerf Sombra though, we wanted to make sure Sombra had more counterplay and could be even more engaging to use. This led to multiple iterations of playtesting and reacting to internal feedback to find the best version that we're happy with. I'm paraphrasing a little bit because it's a little bit fluffy on the article. So iteration and feedback. So the early iterations for Sombra started off with rather drastic changes on each ability in order to gain new design insights. So an early idea for changing Hack involved making it no longer silence abilities, instead deal damage to the enemy if they used any ability. Oh god. This proved to not be clear enough for enemies to know how they are taking damage, and it did not have consistent output between each usage since it is relying on the enemy player to react. Another iteration was to make enemies deal less damage for a duration. This change struggled because if the damage reduction value was low, then it would go unnoticed, and if the value was high, then it quickly became oppressive. Other hack changes we tried but did not stick because of lacking clarity and impact to enemies. We eventually kept the same hack debuff but made hacking an enemy cancel stealth. This worked well because it made Sombra more committed to engaging the enemy and gave the opposing team a consistent opportunity to respond to her. However, Translocator had several iterations alongside stealth since they're both Sombra's mobility and escape tools. An early idea was to give Translocator a short duration so that it could be used during combat. We quickly noticed that Sombra players still preferred to try use their Translocator in safe spots before engaging. We also learned that this change was pushing Sombra's gameplay style to be closer to team engagements, which we kept in mind with other changes. Stealth had early changes of becoming a dash ability, giving a jolt of movement and a very short duration of unbreakable stealth. To have Sombra quickly glimpse in and out of stealth during fights, enemy players were unhappy with no counterplay for unbreakable stealth, and Sombra players wanted more time to flank behind enemy lines. Dear God, what are these? At least they tried and they realized it didn't work. Thank God. Eventually, we consolidated the changes to making Translocator a fast teleport and stealth a passive ability, giving Sombra quicker maneuvers within combat, allowing enemies to have more opportunities to react to her. We talked about the opportunist passive and decided to remove it, making room for the new stealth passive while also removing the passive elements of automatically revealing enemies and gaining bonus impact gun damage. So this is what opportunist used to do, her old passive. It was revealing all enemies below half health. If you hack them, I think you can see their HP bar, and then if you hack them, you used to do what, 25% more damage to your own with your own weapon. Okay, it's like a personal Discord orb if you think about it. We wanted to turn these passive opportunist elements into something more actively noticeable. With this closely combative version of teleporting itself, we then started balancing the survivability with some more lethality. That's the virus ability we'll get to in a bit, which then led us to explore the many possibilities of a new damage ability. Okay, here we go. This is the juice. So this article is just context on how they came to this conclusion, which I like the explanation for. Exploring new abilities. So with the mobility and survivability and a place we felt happy with, we began iterating on new forms of damage. A long list was explored, ranging from cybernetic devices and digital malware. An early idea at the top was a laser tripwire. Okay, Cypher. An idea from our original design, Sombra players would place a trap on a wall and it would automatically trigger on nearby enemies to deal damage and slow. Yeah, okay. Playtests showed that it took too much time preparing the trap and had little to possibly no effect during combat, so we went to the drawing board. Yeah, I think in a dynamic movement game like this. Another ability was called Cybernetic Wire and would deal damage in an arc, dealing bonus damage to enemies at low health. The intent was to secure kills as a finishing blow style ability. This felt too oppressive because of the high amount of instant damage that could be dealt to multiple enemies at once, and it was sometimes difficult for Sombra to perceive the physical range in first person while simultaneously using the machine pistol. Though there were problems, there was excitement around this new form of damage, and then we pivoted to the skill shot ability idea. So this picture has been circulating around. This is the quick short summary of her new rework. So eventually, the ability known today as Virus was born as a projectile that deals damage over time. It synergized well with the range playstyle, and enemies had more time to respond to the damage over time. We learned that this new form of damage can make Sombra players less likely to hack enemies when engaging at a stealth. So we explored a bonus interaction when Virus impacts hacked targets. Some bonus Virus impact ideas were reducing its cooldown when hitting hacked enemies or spreading the damage to nearby targets. Neither of these felt very clear to enemy players, so we settled with the idea of making Virus deal damage faster over time for hacked targets, since that had a better balance for enemies to notice and react to the effects. Once we were happy where this rework was heading, multiple playtests were hosted across the team to collect more feedback and fine-tune the numeric balance. I was part of this playtest chat, okay? Further playtests help us tweak changes in the rework, such as making Translocator also reduce the stealth, the passive stealth cooldown, giving some extra survivability back to Sombra. This is new. Overall, we finished the rework with the changes you start seeing in Season 7. Quick teleport version of Translocator for a more combinative, and trackable Sombra. A passive stealth that gives enemies time to react before she can escape, and the new Virus ability that gives Sombra more lethality. Okay, so once again, I playtested an earlier iteration of it. I had some early thoughts. Maybe some of them have been fixed so far, but let me read this because I haven't read the new updates yet, and I'll give you some more concluding thoughts once we finish this article. First of all, we have to do some math here. Opportunist used to give 25% bonus damage when you hack them. If this is gone, 25% damage, they're just buffing. Okay, what's 25% times 7.5? Let's just establish that. That's like 9 point something. Okay, so they equalized it to 8. Still slightly nerfed if you don't hack them. That's okay. The minimum spread is reduced from 0.5 to 0. This is hard to like see visually. The minimum spread being reduced is like a buff, right? If I'm reading that correctly. That means the volatility of the spread is tightened a little bit, and the number of shots until the maximum spread. Oh, this means it just shoots straight. Yeah. And the number of shots until max spread has been increased from 3 to 6. This means she's more lethal at medium range. When you're really up close with the old Sombra up in their face, the spread doesn't matter as much the closer you are, but this makes her stronger at medium ranges, these two, right? That means your recoil doesn't kick in with the spread until after 6 shots instead of 3. The reload time is faster as well. 3 buffs, well, these are 4 buffs, but this is still a nerf since because of the raw damage from the Opportunist from the previous iteration. Okay. The hack itself, cast time, has actually been reduced from 0.75 to 0.65. That's a big buff in my opinion. But it now cancels stealth when hacking an enemy hero, so you basically are committed. So you know how stealth is now like passive. So if you hack one single hero, you're out of stealth, and you have to leave combat in order to go back into stealth. This is actually a pretty big nerf, because previously you could just like hack, stay in stealth, hack next person, and just be annoying. So this is I like this, where it cancels stealth. The cooldown itself is actually longer. That's good. Hack, this was a frustrating part about playing around hack. So like this at first was like, whoa, but these two kind of counteract it quite a bit. Hack is a reduced cooldown of 3 seconds. So instead of 6 seconds, it's cut in half to 3 seconds if hack is interrupted or if a non-hero enemy is hacked, so like a health pack. Or Bob, I guess. The hacked warning text will now only appear when you're silenced and not for the remainder of the duration of the hack debuff. Okay. Opportunist is gone, so the 25% damage boost on a hack target's gone, and the vision. Stealth is now reworked to a passive, automatically becomes invisible after 3.5 seconds while not shooting, using a damage ability, or receiving damage. Now, a common question people have been asking is, what happens if you are pushing the objective? What if you automatically go into stealth? Can you still contest? And the answer is, it will stall your stealth timer. it'll pause it, or it'll go to 0 technically. Like if you just finish combat and there's 3.5 seconds and you go to the payload, the timer, the 3.5 timer will go to basically 0.00001. The moment you leave the objective, you automatically get sent back into stealth. From the iteration that I remember, that's how it used to work. So you can still contest, or if you are invisible, you need to unstealth by just like meleeing or just, you know, pressing an ability or pressing something like the shoot button. It won't shoot at first, it'll unstealth you first, and then you can contest, and it won't put you back into it. It's not a true pause stealth because the timer apparently still goes down as far as I understand. The stealth movement speed bonus was reduced from 60% to 45%, so she's a little slower, but not as, okay, not as quick. The fade out into stealth is actually a little bit quicker. Because you don't manually press it, it'll just quickly put you into stealth in 1/4 of a second instead. Fade in as well, a little bit quicker. Updated the UI to the Sombra player when hacking health packs to revealed instead of detected. Now the message detected is only used when the enemy is in the detection radius. Virus. This is a new ability assigned to ability 1 by default. This replaces the old manual stealth button. It now fires that projectile at an enemy over time. The damage is faster on hacked enemies. The impact damage is 10 initially or 20 on a hacked target. That's pretty minor, but still matters a little bit. And the damage over time, instead of 100 over 4, it's 100 over 2 seconds on a hacked target. So the raw damage itself has a cap of 100, but like it just ticks a little bit quicker. That's good to know. So the gameplay loop does look like you want to hack them, fire the virus so it does bonus damage or faster damage over time, and then shoot them. Now, it begs the question that I don't remember. I can put this in a Mythbuster, is what if I throw the virus and it starts ticking its 25 DPS, right? Because 100 over 4. And then if I hack them afterwards, does it arbitrarily increase it if I hack them after the virus has landed? I'll have to debunk that when the hero's actually out. In addition to things like, you know, if I get damage boosted, or if I shoot this through a Kitsune Rush or a BAP window, or I'm damage boosted by Mercy, or I get nanoed while the virus is already ticking, does the ticking arbitrarily get amplified? So yeah. And does it cleanse like Ash Dynamite? I would assume almost every single damage over time should be cleansed by Zarya Bubble, Kiriko Suzu. It would be very surprising if it didn't. Can you stack it with all the dots? Should be able to. They're all damage, they're all individual damage modifiers. Not modifiers, forms of damage, excuse me. Translocator can no longer be manually activated. Translocator will now automatically teleport Sombra after 0.25 seconds after being thrown or when impacting the environment. It will reduce the stealth passive cooldown after teleporting. So stealth passive is 3.5 seconds. We don't know the exact number of how long it takes to reduce the stealth passive. Maybe 1 second, we'll have to see. The projectile speed increased from 25 to 72. This will make no sense on paper until you visually see it, so I'll show you the video again. The cooldown itself is reduced from 6 to 5 seconds. The cooldown will also now begin after Sombra teleports to the location of the transponder. And the projectile launch initial vertical offset is removed. So it's not archy anymore, it's very like linear. Okay, and the EMP ult charge cost is increased by 15%. The health percent damage is decreased from 40% to 30%. That's a 25% nerf here as well. Moving forward, we hope this offers more insight. Iterations are focused on making Sombra more fun and exciting hero to play, less frustrating hero to fight against. We feel it'll provide new playstyles, clearer experience. We'll watch as it grows. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you. Boop.
Sombra will also be receiving a new ability called Virus, which causes damage.
So they actually slowed down the...
Here's a look at her new...
I'm going to mute this. They slowed down the footage here. So this is not the true speed. This is actually slowed down to show the effect. It's actually not that slow. I feel like it's a little bit quicker from what I remember.
Her stealth ability is being moved to a passive skill, and every 3.5 seconds when she's not in combat,
the rework is the above part. Invisible. So she goes automatically invisible after a certain time. There's a detection ring.
Her translocator is also being...
So it's very linear. We can see the translocator, super linear. Look at this.
Her translocator...
Watch. Do you see this line? That is, if you played old Sombra, it would look vastly different.
Is also being adjusted into a fast burst movement ability. Instead of placing her...
You see how fast that is?
Her burst movement...
Watch the upper part, okay? Upper part.
Ability. Instead of placing her translocator, she now
That's automatic.
quickly teleports to it. This is great for quick traversals, joining battle, escaping battle, and rewards more aggressive gameplay.
Okay, now that we've seen it, let me give you some... Anybody here played Sombra before? One thing, the most notable thing for me when I played it, number one, the automatic teleport, I think, is a little outdated as a mechanic. You guys remember when Reaper Wraith formed. Once you know the timing of Wraith form, he was super punishable. You see the Wraith, you can just chase him because you know exactly when it comes out. If you don't have agency of the hero when you use an ability to cancel and whatever, it removes all the skill and guesswork of it. So that's why I think Ice Block for Mei is good, because you can let go at any time, so you can't time it perfectly with Reaper's thing. It's a free sleep dart. Oh, this one's a little quicker, but number one, I think having a max distance for this new translocator is fine, but I still think giving Sombra agency to press it even earlier is something that could be a quality of life change and impact her new style quite a bit. The only skill is, I guess, you chuck it off a wall to change your teleport timer, but for the most part, this has always been fixed, by the way. So this is fixed. If you chuck it, you will always teleport at that distance if you don't collide with, provided you don't collide with anything. So it will automatically always be a 0.25 second response time, which is fast. Don't get me wrong. But if I'm a Widowmaker at the top 100 level and I see the arc, I can, if I'm skilled, I can, if people can do these aim trainers and flick the things instantly, if I see that and over time I figure out the distance, like Sombra could be dead if Widowmakers catch up on that hit scan. Or me as an Alari, if I see it, I know where to like look to because I've already mastered the distance. People won't know it initially for the first couple of weeks, but without agency on manually being able to teleport, I think will be not good for the Sombra player, which is why over time they fixed it so Reaper can manually leave Wraith form whenever he wants, which is good, and all that kind of stuff. The thing with predicting Tracer blinks is that Tracer can blink again and or recall at the end of it. Or you're saying, yeah, if Tracer blinks are really fast too. Same with Genji dashes. If I see a Genji dash, I can 180 sleep dart it, which is pretty much on speed with that. That's actually a good comparison. They needed, number one, give the translocator agency to manually activate it within this 0.25 second window. Number two, oh yeah, and Genji Deflect used to have a fixed timer so you could time it, and then they made it so you could manually cancel it. They need to manually be able to do the translocator. Okay, I got that point out of the way. Number two, if you played any Ickle of Sombra and you have decent aim, one of the things you'd like to do as the old Sombra is when you throw the translocator, you pre-aim. So if I'm throwing a translocator in the air, I can turn my crosshair to look down, and by the time I TP, my crosshairs are looking down. It's kind of like Tracer blinking as well. When a Tracer blinks, a good Tracer can blink and also pivot their crosshair and be ready and looking at the target after the blink. When I tested this, maybe this has been fixed, you could not do it with Sombra. So I don't know. Obviously, I don't think they moved here, but you could watch this quick clip here. You can kind of see, I don't know if he was doing it, if they're trying it. So you could see once they TP, maybe they pull the crosshair down. Do you see how slow it was? They landed and then pulled the crosshair down because you were fixed in that animation. That's not good. I don't like that.
Quick reversals, joining battle, escaping
it's battle. It's slow. Like this, yeah, you're forced to do this and then turn down later. You have to, it's definitely a feeling thing. If you know, you know. Everything else seems okay. The gameplay loop, like if you miss the virus, it is pretty detrimental to her DPS. If you do land it, it is very lethal, but they had to give her lethality because she can't escape with Translocator anymore and plant it in a safe spot. And if I'm in danger, then I TP all the way out of the fight. But the gameplay loop does look like you hack, throw the virus, and you DPS them down. But in my playtest earlier on, before they retweak some of these things, and the numbers was that she was very vulnerable. It just felt like a worse flanker than Tracer, because Tracer can blink around a few times and recall. Genji can dash away, deflect, wall climb. Sombra, because the Translocator felt kind of still feels a little clunky, if you unstealth and commit and you whiff the virus, like in the playtest, it was very easy to be like, Sombra's here, and then literally we just turned around and she can't escape. Yeah, she could throw the Translocator late once she's like, oh shit, I'm getting focused. I'll throw it, but it's so fixed. I can't move my crosshairs, and it's like predictable. So she gets punished. So you know how when another DPS, not a flanker, is in a bad spot, there's a really close up like Cass or Ashe or Soldier. Like in high elos, you punish bad positioning pretty fast. So if the new Sombra doesn't pick an ideal fight, she'll die very fast. So we noticed in the playtest, of course it's a playtest, you can't put too much stock in it because it was day one of trying it, and all the Sombra players had to unlearn the old style, and they weren't like playing it optimally, of course, right? It was like the first day we tried it. I'm just gonna say it. It did not feel very strong. It was super easy to punish. But again, new numbers, a new adjustment to playstyle. Maybe she is better than I give her credit for, and they have changed some of the numbers since. Now we'll hopefully be engaged in the fight. So I guess they did knock that design idea down where like she has to stay within the fight for longer periods of time. Everything else feels okay. Like this looks fine. You need to give her lethality because she can't escape for free with the translocator now, so that's okay. But then in the playtest as well, it eventually boiled down to, because you got punished for trying to flank and you got jumped on, it felt like at the time the Sombra was just sitting there hacking the tank again because that was the most optimal play. But then it just didn't feel, it would be annoying for the tank. It was just a little bit of an inconvenience, but like the hack over and over again was pretty long because it's reduced, it's 6 seconds and you can't rehack them that quickly. So like you would hack the tank and then you just play main, chuck the virus, and just be a frontlining DPS hero, which kind of doesn't feel like the identity of Sombra, but at the same time she wasn't lethal enough to burn through it. Like why do that when you can like play a more potent DPS hero like Sojourn up front on the tank, if that makes any sense. I can't remember the exact numbers of the version of Sombra I played a few weeks ago, but this does seem a little better. Number one thing for me to help the Sombra players is definitely those 2 points I made with Translocator. I think it's good that the EMP is not as deadly as it used to be. It's 30% of chunking health is still a very strong DPS ultimate. Let's be real here. This is a nerf, but this is still very strong. This ultimate charge being increased by 15% seems proportional to the increased damage she'll be dealing with the addition of virus, and the fact that she's in team fights longer means she's going to be shooting her gun more. So this may probably feel the same in terms of building EMP uptime, but now she EMPs, she can't EMP and TP out of the fight like old times. If she's going to EMP, if she's even going to throw the translocator for the EMP, she's got to commit. I think this will make her feel more engaging. That is 100% true. I think really like old school Sombra players may not like it, but I think this is a better direction for stealth hero, for a hero like this. And you just need more playtime. Like, don't put any stock to anybody's. We can give our first impressions and idea and like thoughts, but don't put too much weight into it until we have millions of players test it and play against it and with it. Because a small QA balance team and a couple of content creators playing it one time is not enough until you throw it into the hands of the masses to give a better, more nuanced opinion. And you have to give time for people to adjust to the new virus and the new playstyle, and you also give time for the Sombra players to adapt and optimize. So give it some time. I think this is decent, but yeah, quality of life is probably the #1 priority for me here. Everything else, I just need time to be able to tell. And that is my concluding thoughts on the new Sombra changes. What do you guys think? Peace.